All right, let's talk about Dr. Stanley M. Giannet's work. You know, in that quiet ache of a strained relationship where love and pain can get so blurry, the Dysfunctional Relationship Manual shows up. And it's not some magic cure-all, but it's more like a compassionate companion for the journey.
And that really gets to the heart of it. It doesn't promise to fix what's broken. Instead, it offers something that lasts a lot longer: clarity, courage, and, maybe most importantly, the invitation to choose a different path.
So you might be wondering, how does it actually do all that? Well, the approach is deceptively simple. I mean, at first glance, the book is just over 100 pages long.
And it's structured around 240 really introspective questions. They're all grouped together into these thematic checklists.
But here's the thing. These aren't just any old questions. They're more like emotional excavations. They really force you to pause, to notice, and to finally put a name to the things you've been avoiding for a long time. And the topics it gets into are pretty extensive. We're talking about everything from emotional safety and trust, to manipulation and control, to intimacy, and even that subtle, slow erosion of your own self-worth. Each one of these sections, it becomes like a mirror, reflecting not just the relationship itself, but who you are inside of it.
And that brings us to something that's just absolutely crucial. What really sets this manual apart is its gentle but firm insistence on self-responsibility. See, Giannet doesn't encourage pointing fingers at all.
Instead, you're invited to look inward, to examine your own patterns. You know, how you show up, what you're willing to tolerate, and maybe even why. And because it's in a workbook format that encourages you to journal and reflect, the whole focus just shifts. It stops being about diagnosing the other person and starts being about reclaiming your own power, your own agency. You know, one of the most powerful things about this book is just its tone. Giannet writes with the sharp precision you'd expect from a clinical psychologist, but also with the deep empathy of someone who has walked through this kind of relational pain. The language is so clear, so direct, and there's no jargon, there's no condescension, no big lofty theories. It's just this steady, grounded voice that's basically saying, you are not alone, and you are not powerless.
This really empathetic approach, well, you see it in action in the questions themselves, which, like I said, are deceptively simple. I mean, think about a question like this. Do you feel like you're walking on eggshells?
Or how about this one? Is affection conditional on your behavior?
And then there's this. Do you feel more anxious than safe in this relationship? See, these prompts, they're designed to bypass all our intellectual defenses, all the stories we tell ourselves, and they go straight to your gut feeling. They don't accuse, they awaken. And right there, in that awakening, that's where the possibility for real transformation lies.
Okay, let's zoom out for a second and look at the cultural context here, because Giannet's work is especially relevant today, in a culture that tends to romanticize endurance.
So often, right? We're taught to just stay, to fix it, to sacrifice. But this manual, it gently challenges that whole narrative. It suggests that leaving a dysfunctional pattern, whether that means changing it or just walking away, that's not failure, it's actually an act of self-respect.
This is a huge reason why you see so many mental health professionals recommending this book. It really bridges that gap between formal therapy and self-help. It's accessible, but it's also incredibly profound. It's structured, but it's also flexible. It just meets you exactly where you are, whether you're just in the early stages of doubt or you're deep in the fog of confusion.
What also makes this book so quietly radical is its invitation to redefine love itself. Love, Giannet implies, isn't just about staying no matter what. It's about safety, it's about reciprocity, and it's about growth. And if a relationship is constantly undermining your sense of who you are, well, it might not be love, it might just be a pattern. And patterns, unlike people, can actually be changed.
And for anyone who's read Giannet's other work, like Love is Stronger Than Death, you'll see a really clear theme running through it all. This core belief that healing always begins with truth. It doesn't matter if you're grieving a loss or confronting dysfunction, the path forward is always the same. Honest reflection, compassionate awareness, and the courage to choose differently. So, in the end, the Dysfunctional Relationship Manual is so much more than just a book. It's like a quiet revolution. It doesn't shout at you, it doesn't preach. It just simply asks, what are you tolerating, and what would it mean to stop?